me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans. Yes, I'm back. Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and your Breakfast Bankroll Part 2 for Wednesday, March 8th, 2023. Shout out to Julian Edlow of DraftKings. I don't know what happened. I just went back there and circled the wagons, and it wasn't live on Twitter. You can go to our YouTube page, our Twitch page, our Facebook page at East Coast Sports Investors, and then go back or go to our website or my timeline, and there's a Deacons list, Deacons link there. Just click it and you can go right back there. But we are blessed and honored here to have Bill Speros at Bookies at Boston Herald, senior betting analyst and sports columnist, to give us what to expect on Friday, 10 a.m. As we talked about, 7 mobile apps will be launching in the Bay State here in Massachusetts. Another 3 to eventually come for a total of 10. Bill was on earlier this year and gave us the scoop leading up to the 31st. Ask him a few questions, grade the mass where they are, what for all of us to expect. I know I'm getting those emails, Bill, every day, and Mass is really trying to tone those down. And I will wrap it up with a quick Oscars talk on Sunday. I guess they're handing out some trophies, and I didn't get an invite. I know I'm not on that list, but without further ado, let's bring him in. Mr. Bill Speros. Good morning, Bill.
Morning. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I am waiting the imminent arrival of my painters, who have done a tremendous job on my house. So I may or may not be interrupted by a doorbell ringing.
Well, we'll make this quick and painless. No Novocaine needed for this root canal today, and we can't thank you enough. As I started in the intro, you were with us 6 weeks ago, so before the January 31st launch, the brick and mortars, Plain Ridge, Everett, and Springfield, all launched without a hiccup, and now we're getting ready for the 10th at 10 a.m. But lead us up to that 31st, the launch, and give us a grade how you feel Mass has done so far.
I give him a B+. I think the state is where it wanted to be. Friday is 7 months to the day that the late, great Governor Baker signed the Sports Wagering Act into law. So 7 months from signage to mobile launch isn't really out of the ordinary, given what we've seen in other states. But this far along in the game, where Mass will be the 32nd or 33rd state to have mobile betting, depending on how you count them, it probably could have been done a little quicker. But given the players involved and the fact that any bureaucracy exists to perpetuate itself, I think people are just glad that it's finally here.
We talked how Mass and Ohio want to kind of set the trends, not follow the trends. They talked about the advertising, the marketing by these companies, establishing, quote unquote, free money. I've told everyone that's connected with ECSI, there's no such thing as free money. Yes, you want as many books as possible to line shop, but deposit $5, get $200. It's not that simple, Bill. Can you explain that to them?
Well, in Massachusetts, the word free is a 4-letter word. You will not see that word in any marketing or advertising from any licensed sports book in the Commonwealth. And if you do see it, it'll be flagged and fixed as quickly as possible. What Ohio and Massachusetts have done is really set a benchmark in what the industry calls responsible gambling or responsible gaming, which is what it sounds like. It is a way for the industry and regulators to modify and curb certain behavioral patterns that those people with gambling problems tend to exhibit. And of course, the irony here is that with the expansion of legal gambling, there are an infinite amount of tools now available to curb such behaviors that are not available in the offshore illegal market. There are certain patterns, behavioral patterns, spending patterns that problem gamblers exhibit that these sports books are well aware of. And they're to the point now, if you're betting through an app, they can flag certain behaviors. Kind of like when you buy something with a credit card and you're in Buffalo instead of Brighton, they'll send you an email saying, "Hey, is this you?" You'll get that if there are certain behavioral and betting patterns that you exhibit. There might be a warning saying, "Is this what you really want to do?" Or there might be an email or a notification saying, don't forget to look into our responsible gaming programs. So there's a lot of technology here at play that the books and the regulators are using to try to combat these issues. Massachusetts has an operation called Game Sense, which they consider the top responsible gaming platform in the country. And this books, the legal regulated sports books, like the fact that regulators are pushing these sorts of responsible gaming curbs. The problem that some of them were having, my company included, was they went a little too far in some of the restrictions they wanted to impose on licensed and legitimate third-party affiliates like the company I work for, which thankfully they've corrected. So they've been receptive to stakeholders when they kind of maybe went a little too far here and there. So to their credit, and they have been very receptive to listening to the sports books and other operators. And frankly, they had a lot of public meetings to which not a whole lot of people spoke at. I know some of them wanted to yell and scream and rant and rave at the commissioners because they didn't know what the AFC Championship game was. But a lot of folks, could have had the opportunity to speak up on this. I think that people, bettors and stakeholders, sportsbooks, everybody, we just wanted a launch date. Everybody just wanted a launch date. And they said January 31st for retail, and everybody was like, great. Let's focus on the retail launch. And they did. The 3 operators got up and running. They've had 4 issues of illegal wages because of the college rule. But, I know I've been told that at least in Everett, the sports book there is exceeding expectations in terms of handle. They're not allowed to report numbers until the 15th of the month. But, I have it on decent authority there that things are going extremely well in terms of revenue and handle. So I'm not surprised to hear that. I think this market is going to be shockingly lucrative for the sports books and, eventually for the state in terms of revenue.
I really love the responsible gaming, and I just wrote it down and I highlighted it. Here at ECSI, we never ever once since January 1st, 2015, when we launched, well before PASPA, well before mass passing, use that word gambling. We've always tried to use responsible investing, wagering, and as you were talking, you think of someone having buyer's remorse. In other words, you just went on you went to the Rentham outlet and you just went hog wild, and now you got everything loaded in the car and you're coming back to the Cape and you're like, oh my God, but at least you can return that stuff and get your monies back. When you place a wager and the game has started, there's no turning back, Bill.
No, no backsies. There's actually kind of a troubling trend for a lot of bettors where some books are returning parlay bets on when players get hurt. Um, totals, in-game totals if a quarterback gets injured. They've been doing that. There's been a lot of backlash among bettors and even among industry people saying that sets a terrible precedent because it does. When you wager, everything's on the table. If you bet the under and the game ends, 1-0 after 5 innings and it's official game, well, you lose. You win, I should say. So, all of those bad calls, that's a huge issue that I've been asking a lot of people about. It's all part of the equation when you bet. It's incumbent upon people like me and you and others who have platforms to remind people of that. I always go back to, for me, the first commandment of gambling was spoken by Oscar Madison in 1970 after Felix lost all of his money except for the $5 for socks. And, Oscar famously said, "There's no such thing as a sure thing. That's why they call it gambling." And I preach that mantra to anybody and everybody who will listen. You are gambling is nothing more than leveraging risk and reward. And, that sort of basic education, when you have a market like Massachusetts, it's opening retail and mobile, and a lot of people who kind of knew of Buddy who had a bookie and maybe bet $50 on the Super Bowl once and don't really understand it, but kind of want to understand it because everybody else is talking about it. That's where everyone in this space can fill the void and explain to people not only terms like spread, parlay, money line, but the principles and concepts of it. There are no backsies. You could win, you could lose, and all these factors come into play both ways. And it's been that way since, Ugg and Bug bet on the dinosaur races with Fred and Barney Flintstone Rubble. Yeah, Fred and Barney the dinosaur track. That's how long gambling's been with us.
Perfect example is the next door neighbor that doesn't know the difference between a soccer ball and a football, but sees the ads and says, they're at a little Sunday afternoon party, and hey, I'm going to throw $20 on the Patriots, and the Patriots win the game. And the person's like, well, how come I didn't win my bet? Well, they won the game 20-17, but they were favored by 6. Well, but they won the game. Yes, they won the game, but they didn't cover. What do you mean they didn't cover? Just stuff like that.
Well, again, I mean, the industry and those of us who are in it, it's incumbent upon everybody at every opportunity to educate people who are new to it and, to be more cautious than anything else. My personal, in my life, I was introduced to gambling at a very young age. So I didn't know what I was doing and had no understanding of it. Then again, I was like 15. So even though it's kind of been in my DNA, I guess that's helped me. It certainly helped me career-wise at this point. But I think it helps when I talk to people or write about it. And if we make our predictions or project odds or anything like that, that's, we're not, to say I think the Patriots are going to cover or the Patriots will cover because of this, and this. That's not a fact. It's an opinion. It's an analysis. It's an assertion. All the facts are behind us in gambling. That's kind of the interesting thing about it is all the data that's used, at least until this point. I'm sure now there's forward-looking, programs and such that are used. But in terms of setting lines and spreads and money lines and all that data is based on, it's all past performance and current situations and past performance. In other words, it's everything that's happened is being used to help us project what might happen with a certain degree of uncertainty. Nothing is ever 100 until it's over. So, that's kind of the inside baseball look at things, which probably isn't a bad discussion to have 2 days before a mobile launch, 3 days or 4 days before March Madness, with the Celtics and Bruins heading into the playoffs, the Patriots drafting, and free agency about to roil the NFL futures markets. I mean, people are betting like crazy on the Jets to win the Super Bowl. I want to take every one of those bets and then just never be heard from again, one way or the other.
So you're saying the public's taking the cheese, and we're already under the assumption that Aaron Rodgers is coming to the New York Jets, a la Brett Favre.
Yeah, I guess. Jets got to do something. The Giants just paid Danny Dollars $160 million. And I cry to think that 4 years ago, the Patriots couldn't lock down Tom Brady for $50 million over 2 years. And Danny Jones is now getting $40 million a year. So I guess we all suffer in our own way.
Friday, 10 a.m., 7 apps launch. The way I understand it, there'll be another 3 coming. The 7 apps that are launching, if you could tell us who they are and who are the 3 sitting in the wings right now, and why are they not launching?
I should have this list in front of me. Let's see how well I've memorized it. On Friday, you are going to have Barstool, FanDuel, BetMGM, Caesars, DraftKings, Better, BETR, and BetMGM.
Okay.
And the other 3, Fanatics and Bally's, are planning to launch in May. Fanatics will launch in May. I have they're just sort of getting started. They have, both of these companies have macro issues. With Fanatics, the issue is sort of their timetable and Mass's timetable didn't quite align, but they wanted to go ahead and get the licensing all set up so they can go whenever they're ready. Bally's, on the other hand, has serious problems. They have been on the precipice of bankruptcy for about a week. So their parent company's potential bankruptcy filing may or may not impact their ability to launch, depending on how things are structured. And, again, once you file for bankruptcy court, the judge is 100% in charge. So that, I would sort of put an asterisk on that one, because that's something that's not in their control. And then the 10th company, it's called Betway, which their parent is Digital Gaming. They're based overseas. And their parent company was sold this year. So because of that, they've had to get all these licensing issues straightened out. But again, like Fanatics, they've already paid the $1 million. And they've got approval. So once they get the ducks on a row on their end in terms of their corporate structuring and licensing and all that stuff, they're going to launch in Massachusetts, but that's not going to happen until next year.
The 55 minutes straight down 495 Raynham dog track that I grew up with way back in the day, the Carnies, held out thinking they were going to become Plainridge.
Swifty.
Yes. And I didn't get that, but held out for the sports book and awarded a license there for sports book. Initially, I heard they were going to be the biggest on the East Coast. Now I'm hearing rumblings they're going to be the biggest in the country. Any update on how the carnies and the construction and everything's going with Raynham?
I have not heard anything aside from the fact that they're headed for a May launch. That's the last I've heard. I periodically check in, but they're planning to launch in May. They have not yet been approved. They were late applying for their license. Their license application is going to be heard, I believe, on March 24th. No, March 23rd, I think. Yeah, it would be Thursday, March. I believe it's set to be heard on March 23rd. So when they have their hearing in front of the Mass Gaming Commission, we'll get all the juicy details about that. So that will happen, like I said, I think 2 weeks from today, actually. Or no, 2 weeks from tomorrow. I don't know what day it is. I apologize.
Backstage, you put a little bird in my ear. Something big on Sunday called the Oscars. My tux is still at the dry cleaners. I won't be able to attend, but I heard that you have some good information that you just potentially retweeted. Can you talk about the Oscars?
Sure. There is legal betting on the Oscars in Massachusetts. And from what I've been told, it will also be available on the requisite apps when they launch on Friday. In other words, you will be able to bet on the DraftKings app, BetMGM app, WinBet app. Those three I am certain of. Caesars as well. Again, I won't guarantee all this because I'm not in the dev room with these guys, but legally, they're allowed to take betting on the Oscars. I know the odds at FanDuel and Everett were just posted earlier this week because I talked to the people there. So you can bet on the Oscars right now in person at the three casinos that we've talked about. Come Friday, I am almost 100% certain you will be bet on that. You'll be able to bet on the Oscars on at least FanDuel, DraftKings, BetMGM, Caesars, and WinBet. Those are the ones I'm certain. I'm not sure about Barstool or Betcher. I don't think Betcher is going to be taking Oscar bets. And I haven't seen what Barstool has planned, although I did speak with Mr. Portnoy via email last night. So, it's going to be exciting. In terms of what to expect, the film Everything Everywhere All at Once is a monster favorite. I talked to Johnny Avello from DraftKings. He's a legend in this business. He actually used to do hits on EEI with Eddie Engelman and Glenn Woodway back in the day, offering betting tips. He sort of invented Oscar odds to get publicity for the sports books in the 80s, even though you couldn't bet on them at the time. The film Everything Everywhere All at Once, I don't know if anybody's seen it, but it's a monster minus 1,200 favorite at BetMGM. Its number is even higher, I believe, at WinBet. That is projected to dominate in the Best Picture and Best Director category. The current long shot is All Quiet on the Western Front. That's fetching about 10-1. Where, depending on where you might bet. But I don't think there's anything that's going to stop this film from winning Best Picture. The director odds, the director of the film, they call themselves the Daniels. It's two gentlemen with Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert. They're known as the Daniels. They're a strong favorite at minus 1,400. But when I spoke with a gentleman from WinBet, he is still kind of liking Steven Spielberg, who's kind of sitting at 7-1 for Best Director, because he was nominated last year, obviously he didn't win. And there's a lot of buzz or there's a feeling in Hollywood and among a lot of people in the Academy that he should have won. He should have won more. He should have more Oscars. He only has 2. believe it or not, for Best Director, which is kind of amazing when you think about it. So that might be an upset to look at. It's a great price at 6 or 7 to 1. The Best Actor category is a coin flip between Brendan Fraser and The Whale, a movie I actually saw. It was an awful story to watch, but it was a terrific film. It was originally a play, where this morbidly obese guy is trying to reconcile with his daughter before he dies. Fraser did a tremendous job, and his backstory, of course, given the abuse that he suffered in Hollywood and having this sort of comeback, that's going to pull a lot of strings with the Academy. But Austin Butler's performance in Elvis was a much more substantial acting role. He's the second favorite at about even money to plus 130. The Academy tends to favor people who play real people. I think 7 out of the last 8 Best Actor awards went to people who played real people. And of course, the recent passing of Lisa Marie and Austin Butler's preeminence in that story with Elvis's wife. That's probably. I don't know if it's going to be enough to push him over the top. I kind of still like Brendan Fraser, but that's a coin toss. That's a good one to watch. Same with Best Actress. Cate Blanchett in a movie called Tar. Didn't see it. No idea. She's up against Michelle Yeoh, who was the principal in Everything Everywhere All at Once. They're both hovering around even money. Blanchett's a slight favorite. I just think that because of the strength that Everything is getting in the Best Picture category, you tend to see other actors and actresses from other movies tend to benefit from that. So someone might say, okay, well, I think I'll give Everything my Best Picture vote and perhaps maybe even my Best Director vote, and it's going to get a Best Supporting Actor win. So, they might look elsewhere. And, Cate Blanchett is another one that, she's won this award once, but she's had a pretty substantial career and did quite well in the movie. In terms of supporting actor, Ke Huy Quan from Everything is minus 5,000. He's going to win. He is a media favorite, a media darling. They love him. And save your money on that one. Best Supporting Actress, another very competitive race. You have a lot of stories going on here. Angela Bassett has never been nominated. She's been an actor in TV, film, on the stage, and of course, singing for decades. She's yet to win. Jamie Lee Curtis, obviously a daughter of Hollywood. She's been in the public eye for a half century. She's never been nominated. She won at the SAG Awards. She won this at the SAG Awards, and that sort of catapulted her into the spotlight. She's done a ton of media, and she's obviously very affable. She's well liked in Hollywood. And then Kerry Condon, who was really the hidden star of Banshees of Inisherin. She's also getting some play and push because there's a real fear that movie might be shut out. So some people are saying, well, maybe I'll back Kerry here to kind of give that film an Oscar, because I don't think it's going to win elsewhere. And then Jamie Lee Curtis and Stephanie Sue, are both in Everything All at Once. So they're splitting that vote in this category. You have 2 people from the same movie in this category, which is why Winbeck told me he likes Kerry Condon, actually. She's 2 to 1. So there's 3 potential winners in that category. I like Jamie Lee Curtis myself there. So that's kind of a rundown of the big ones, the big 6 awards. But they give out Oscars in 23 categories, and you can bet on all of them at certain books. Some books are limited to the top 6. Others will allow you to bet on all 23. And all the awards are going to be given out live this year, unlike last year, which was a disaster. Will Smith is not allowed in the building, so there will not be another assault on Chris Rock. I don't know if Chris Rock's going to show up. I doubt it. And Jimmy Kimmel's the host, which could be awful or tremendously awful.
But we can't thank you enough. We come on for a little preview of the mobile apps. We get some grading how Mass is doing, and we end with thank you enough. We'll keep you on speed dial as we progress here. I'm hoping Mass gets off without any hiccups. On Friday, 10 a.m. with the 7 apps. Really looking forward to the progress of Raynham as they get closer. I wonder if they have in their eye, you talked about May, maybe if they ever could get it open for that May, the first Saturday in the Kentucky Derby, I think the carnies would be doing cartwheels.
Yeah. Well, they're already able to take action on obviously on horse racing because of a pari-mutuel license, but certainly having the facility open by then would be a nice boom for sure. And that's probably the mindset, I would imagine.
Go follow Bill at Bookies at Boston Herald, senior bet analyst and sports columnist. Bill, we can't thank you enough. I'm going to let you go, let you get ready for the Painters, and we'll be touching base sooner than later, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. One and only Speros. We can't thank him enough for spending a few minutes of his time this morning getting us caught up to what is going on in Massachusetts. Exciting times here for everyone here in the Commonwealth as it has arrived. You can go to your brick and mortars at Plain Ridge, which is a bar stool. You can go to Encore. You can go to Springfield and wager at the casinos, or you can download all these apps that you're getting all the emails for. Some want $5, $10, $15, $20 deposit. You'll be getting increments of $50, $25, $100 for future bets. And as Julian said, and this is important, they're giving you 8 $25 bets. So if you win a bet, you're not getting your 25 back. You're just getting your profit back. If you lose, it's just move on to your next one. So unlike if you go to the app and you bet $25 and win, you get your $25 back and another 25, or if it was a dog, yada, yada, yada. So thank everyone here this morning. It's been an action-packed morning with Julian Edlow, with Bill Speros. We'll be back at 3 o'clock. Brady Cannon, his weekly spot. We'll be talking TPC as we're just over 5 weeks away from the Masters in Augusta, but TPC always Sawgrass, a great tournament. We're going to recap what happened last weekend. There were horses for courses right there, and it was an unknown name, Kitsuyama, that comes through with a big ticket and a win. See what Brady likes, give us his long shots, some head-to-head action, and much more. So if you're not following, follow me at EC Sports Invest. And come back at 3 o'clock. We'll have a lot of golf talk. And Riley will close out the afternoon with the closing bell. We will see you soon.